चिदानंद जी आप चालू कर सकते हैं। चिदानंद जी अनम्यूट करके चालू कर सकते हैं।
Okay. Namaste, good evening, friends. What is our responsibility towards our life? We pretty much learn, rather, we live irresponsibly. It is an unfortunate fact of human life that even people who have lot of academic qualifications, who have traveled around the world, who hold respectable positions in the society and so on, actually are not living responsibly. I must make the word clear in the beginning. By the word responsibility, I do not mean the superficial issue of family responsibility, professional responsibility, our responsibility towards certain positions we may hold in some charitable institutions, etc. Generally, people use the word responsibility in a rather shallow sense. Somebody with 4 or 5 children would say, you see, I have a lot of responsibility. My children have to get married, they have to settle there. So this is the way the word responsibility is used. We do not completely dismiss that kind of meaning given to the word responsibility. But friends, in a circle like ours, we are examining everything on a deeper level. I would once more say that in my opinion, the so-called shallow issues of life are not to be completely dismissed. If somebody feels certain financial responsibility towards another person, it has a place of its own. But the deeper includes the less deeper and not the other way around. If you and I are able to examine our responsibility towards our life on a deeper level, and that deeper level also has to be an all-inclusive way, for in the name of going deeper, we should not be just philosophizing with our eyes shut to ground realities of life. So let us examine what responsibility towards life is on a deeper, more inclusive level. Here we have a statement by Krishnaji, which he delivered in 1969. The last sentence I shall be powerful. The responsibility of living, understanding, and learning is your own, he says. The responsibility of living, understanding, and learning is your own. I shall get back to a few more sentences in that chosen paragraph a bit later, but this thrust on the responsibility is your own has a lot of implication. We tend to look up to A or B, X or Y, this institution or that ism, that belief, that structure, that institution in the society. We look up to those for us to shape the way we live. We become member of some organization, believing in God or not believing in God, either way. The moment we belong to some organization, we tend to think that, okay, I am now in this very good organization, which has a very good philosophy, and now my responsibility ends. The organization will guide me, will lead me in a healthy direction. And then all confusion begins. In a manner of saying, hell gets loose. That is, you get into all kinds of prejudices against other organizations, maybe, or you get into prejudices within the organization. You like some people and you dislike some others within that organization where you have become a member. Probably you hold some high position also in that organization. Alas. Therefore, when you look up to a structure outside where you believe you are now a member, that there is disowning your own responsibility. In that sense, we have to take this sentence very seriously, where Krishnaji emphatically says, the responsibility of living, understanding, and learning is your own. Don't put it upon the shoulders or on the head of somebody else, collectively or individually. Now, I don't want to begin with blaming organizations or structures, belief systems or isms, communism, socialism, Hinduism, Buddhism, all these isms. Somebody wrote yesterday to me, in fact, he shared with me an email he wrote to someone, and the line was very thought-provoking. I have been thinking about it for last 48 hours on and off. So in that email that was shared with me, the person who sent the email says, Sanatan Dharma ek bhranti hai. Sanatana Dharma is a delusion, and beautifully adds a sentence, Dharam is Sanatan. Dharam is Sanatan, but Sanatan Dharma is a bhranti. Very thought-provoking statement. I appreciate that remark, though I in no way want to submit to the authority of such a statement. Not that because of some literary beauty in that statement, as they use the expression in American English, not that I buy into it. Yeah. Make another slogan out of it. Sanatan Dharma Bhranti hai, Dharma lekin Sanatan hai. So Sanatan Dharma, as most of you would have understood, in that quotation implies a structure, a set of beliefs, a set of practices, a set of ways in which people live, celebrate festivals, go to their gods, blah, blah, all that, their books, their teachers, their mystics, all of that together. Once it is made a man-made structure, the writer has very thought-provokingly said, it becomes a ground of delusion. Dharma, in contrast, is nothing so concrete, so structured. Dharma is truth, and everyone explores what dharma is. And this quest for truth and this passion for truth, this search for truth is an eternal journey of every one of us. So I wish to say that we are not bringing the hammer down on mere institutions or isms, but mind you, there is a reflection of institution and ism within every one of us. Our personal likes and dislikes bring such chaos in our way of living. our personal ragadvesha, we call them, cause such disturbance, such disharmony in the way we live from the moment we get up in the morning till we hit the bed again at night. There are so many disorderly things we do, whether it is overeating or oversleeping or over talking or talking to somebody endlessly and not talking to somebody else at all, even not answering a question, what is the time? You just look up at that person and put your head down. What is this? There is tremendous disorder in the way we live our daily life, even privately. Disorder in the way we live doesn't have to be in the eyes of people. With the door shut, with nobody watching us, we could be living in a haphazard manner. Why does that happen? Is there a certain disowning of responsibility? I would say yes. When we think in compartmentalized manner, we do not think about life in a holistic way. We begin to derive some comfort. We begin to experience a solace in just being somewhere, belonging to a prestigious family. Ah, my job is done. I can now live the way I like. In this way, the human mind tends to think. Because your father was famous and your grandfather was so well known in the town, does it give you some special license to live in a haphazard manner? Therefore, it is that now I take up a couple of sentences of this paragraph from Sri J. Krishnamurti's talk of 19th. Living in responsible way with submitting to any authority. Where you submit to an authority, outside or inside, then your responsibility erodes. So he says here, quote, when you begin to understand the nature and structure of authority, when you learn about it, not reject it or revolt against it, but actually in daily life, in relationship, learn about it, one discovers all the tricks of authority. Life is a movement in relationship, a constant process of learning. When the mind has learned what authority means, not verbally, but intellectually, so not verbally, not intellectually, but deeply in one's heart and mind understands it, there is a quality of freedom. Then the mind becomes extraordinarily sensitive. It doesn't blame another or accept the responsibility of another. The responsibility of living, understanding, and learning is your own. End of quote. Now I would say that this is a truth which is to be thought over seriously. How this human mind of ours, the mind of yours, the mind of mine, mind of hers, mind of his, all of us are in the same boat. This human mind of ours is simply unable to stay without coming under the clutches of authority. During my years in Rajghat, Krishnamurti Center, I noticed that many long-time members of the so-called Krishnamurti circle have certain strong dislike towards certain systems, certain religious systems or certain political system, and they believe that they are free from any conditioning. I would say, if someone is free from conditioning, one neither embraces any system nor hates any system. Once it so happened, a Hindu monk of very senior position in the society was arrested. And couple of people in Rajghat who were all the time discussing Krishnamurti's teachings openly said to me how they were very happy that a Hindu sannyasi was put behind bars. I was shocked. Perhaps I was myself in orange robes those days. So the two people who said to me, were very apologetic. They said to me, Swamiji, I hope you don't mind our saying this, but we dislike these people in orange robes. It doesn't apply to you, Swamiji, you are exception, but we dislike these people in orange robes and we are secretly happy that this Swamiji is behind bars. It so turned out that they don't know much about that Swamiji, but there was a certain negative opinion against Hindu Swamis. And on many occasions I saw unknown Buddhist monks walked into Rajghat. And these two people and a couple of others were so excited. There would be a red carpet welcome to Buddhist monks. But a Hindu monk came, there was suspicion, there was some kind of being on guard. I won't generalize this, not all in JK circles are like that, but I did see the pathetic condition of a human mind, which talks of freedom, but many times, rather than really going for freedom, it goes for some kind of, as I used a very carefully chosen expression, staying on guard. With respect to one language, with respect to one nationality, with respect to one community, with respect to one religion, they are on guard. We don't want to submit to the authority of these people. Okay? But with respect to another group, you go head over heels. And anything that is said by another person, he is like in India, we have an expression, Veda Vakya. And that means it must be so beautiful. So friends, I do not exclude myself either from the tragedy that has befallen the human mind. The human mind goes from one to the opposite. At one time, you are a believer in God, and then some temple maybe deceived you, some priest let you down, some injustice you saw, and now the same you who one time believed in God is so dead against God. Oh, so is there a true difference at all? You have not arrived at an open mind. Without moving too far from the topic chosen for this evening, I would say that the challenge is the same for all of us, whether we do subscribe to some teacher, some guide, some institution, some literature, some source of inspiration, or we do not subscribe to any. The challenge before the human mind is the same. What is it? We have to question ourselves. Are we living responsibly? Do we have a sense of responsibility towards our own life? Or have we written off our life knowingly or unknowingly to be under the banner of some maybe new philosophy? Have we blindly, again knowingly or unknowingly, but really blindly become followers? Krishnaji warns us. Krishnaji cautions us against coming under the influence of any authority, external or internal, scriptural authority, authority of a personality, authority of a book. There is some controversy going on in last few days. Bunch of people are questioning the integrity of Mother Teresa. I do not know what the truth is, but this bunch of people who are questioning the integrity of Mother Teresa are saying, among many things, that the fact that she got Nobel Peace Prize then Indian government went head over heels to give her a Bharat Ratna, etc., according to these critics, was the result of tremendous Western propaganda, according to them. When I read that, or when I watched a video or two on this controversy, where people like Subramanya Swami, etc., have said things which make our eyebrows go up, that's okay. The word propaganda hit me very strongly. Oops. So there is propaganda in giving awards. There is propaganda in Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan, Nobel Prize or some Grammy Award, Oscar or some other in our country or in the world. The place, the role that propaganda plays. Who is a saint? Propaganda decides it. Now we lost a wonderful saint 3 days ago, Thich Nhat Hanh. God knows, God knows, I am saying in an idiomatic phrase. Don't blame me for bringing God suddenly from somewhere. God knows whether tomorrow somebody would say, Thich Nhat Hanh became world famous more due to propaganda than due to his intrinsic maturity, etc. Maybe, maybe not. Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s had nominated Thich Nhat Hanh for Nobel Peace Prize. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, but when MLK Jr. nominated him, he became so well known all over the world. And after being in exile for decades, where it was dangerous for him to set his foot in Vietnam, after so many years, he finally returned to his own Vietnam, and a couple of days ago, he breathed his last in his own, country where he was born and raised. So, are we subscribing to some propaganda, making X or Y very great, way higher than, way bigger than life size? And are we subscribing to some propaganda which makes somebody else a criminal or a failure or a utter false god, as the expression goes? And leave others, leave these famous people, leave these infamous people. Are we a victim of propaganda that our own mind, this machinery called our mind, does about ourselves? When we study the teachings of Ramana Maharshi and that question, who am I? We come across this significance that thought is saying, some mornings, thought says to us, you are such a wretched person. You don't deserve to be on the earth. And some other day, again, this thought, this machinery called thought, says to us, really speaking, there are very few honest people like you on the earth. You are the salt of the earth. God, Brahma created you specially, So both are big jokes. Maharshi Ramana asks us, ask yourself, who am I? Am I the sinner, as thought said about me 3 days back? Or am I a saint walking on the same earth where sinners walk? As my thought is saying this morning, am I bad? Am I good? Am I noble? Am I otherwise? Who am I? And who am I is not a japa going on asking ourselves, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? With the japamala counting. Okay, I have asked myself, who am I 108 times. Today sadhana is over. Rama Rama. That is not who am I. That would be a gross misunderstanding of Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi did not even emphasize the words, who am I? May, kaun, who. The words are not important. That's where we find a certain semblance between Maharshi and Krishnaji. Words are not important. It is a quest. It is an investigation. It's a search. It's a very honest attempt, free from all bias, to understand who we are. Who am I? Some scholars have said that Krishnaji's teachings have a greater flavor of what am I. For Krishnaji asked us to look at the structure of I, the structure of the self, the movement of the self, which means the particular prejudice, particular likes and dislikes, particular beliefs, etc. of the self. The self is the seat of a whole lot of these. And Krishnaji, rather than asking us, ignore them all and discover who you are at the depth of your being, etc., that kind of language he never used. He abhorred a language where there is a pointer to the so-called pure self, and there is a kind of appeal to dismiss the present self which is in operation. One of the unique flavors of Krishnaji's teachings is, here is the self in operation, and for heaven's sake, look at it. Don't sweep the dust under the carpet. Here is the self in operation, which may have anger, which may have guilt, which may have lust, which may have something else. Don't say, I want to be free of this guilt and shame and lust and greed. Don't be so impatient to be free of what the self is made of. Rather, can you look at that lust? Can you look at that hypocrisy in you without jumping to a condemnation, nor trying to justify it? Look at, and therefore, what am I? What is this self? What is this self? Rather than who is this self? Who am I? So there are certain differences in what they highlight, but without going to any particular teachers and drawing my few words to a conclusion. We began, I guess, some 8 minutes late today. So please permit me another 2 or 3 minutes to bring my submission to a proper close. I would say that while financial responsibility, family responsibility, institutional responsibility, etc., have a place of their own, we are examining the responsibility we have towards our life in terms of understanding ourselves. Are we insensitive? And if we see there is insensitivity in me, I am cruel to animals, I am cruel to plants, not to mention my cruelty to certain communities, let us say, of human beings too. So, am I insensitive? And being observant and being aware of how I fool myself, where in one domain I'm extremely kind, but another domain I shut my eyes to the cruelty that I perpetrate to some animals or some other creatures on this earth. Then there is a certain irresponsible behavior. So these dialogues, I trust, are meant to awaken in us a greater understanding of our responsibility to the whole of our life, not in some compartmentalized manner. I'll conclude. Maybe I mentioned it in an earlier session on these Thursday evening dialogues. There is a gentleman called Shailesh Rao. He is a champion of veganism. He worked with Al Gore, one of the former presidents of United States. When Bill Clinton was the president, Al Gore was the vice president. And Al Gore was awarded Nobel Peace Prize, which he shared with a committee, IPCC. For what was he given Nobel Peace Prize? Al Gore worked a lot for the so-called challenge of climate change, industrial waste, rivers, etc., getting poisoned, air getting poisoned, ozone layer being pierced, all these issues. Al Gore worked very hard, and he gave a clarion call. Come on, be careful, you are damaging the environment. So Shailesh Rao, somebody from our South India, of course, living in US for many years, worked with Al Gore and deeply appreciative of Al Gore's work. But then when Shailesh Rao got into this issue of veganism, what about this meat industry? What about cutting down the trees in tens of thousands to maybe, support the meat industry and so many issues, He wrote a book called The Carbon Dharma. I had the opportunity to watch a webinar by Shailesh Rao. I was deeply touched. So when Shailesh Rao asked Al Gore, with this I'll conclude, one morning, calling him maybe Al, you have done so much for climate change. Isn't it time you did something for protection of animals, protection of trees in the forests of various places? Al Gore bore stony silence. Didn't say anything. So, did Al Gore act with responsibility? Was Al Gore's life marked by holistic responsibility, or he took one issue and went gaga with it? Is a question that you and I may ponder, and it's a similar question we should ask ourselves. Are we truly responsible to our life, or have we embraced one issue and then going, with great excitement just about that? This is a question worth pursuing. Thank you.
Harshad sir, you can unmute yourself. Harshad sir, please unmute yourself.
Harshad sir, please unmute and say.
Okay. Okay. Are you able to hear?
Sir. Yes.
Sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji, for a very nice opening up this topic of responsibility. I feel from my own understanding that our responsibility to ourselves is to have a healthy body and a clear mind. And because without having a healthy body and clear mind, peaceful, clear mind, whatever we do, that will create more problems in the world. And probably that is what is happening. So how we grow up from the early time when we are child, when we are born, we don't know anything about responsibility. Our family, father, mother, they are responsible for our bringing up. And then when we go to school, we begin to think about responsibility.
यहाँ से देखिए ममता जी
Hello, may I go on?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes. So what I am saying is that it is very important to have a healthy body and the healthy mind. That is our responsibility, because then whatever we do, it will have some significance for other people, for society, for the world. Just like Swamiji talking about not having any prejudice. That means to listen, the ability to listen to whoever is speaking, whether it is Krishnamurti is speaking or some Swami is speaking. And if we are the follower of Krishna ji and are getting so much influence by Krishnamurti, then we will not be able to listen to Osho or Sadguru or other people who are talking about, or Raman Maharshi. So the ability to listen anyone, whether it is our friend or even our servant, how we listen, it depends on the quality of our mind, whether it is very, very attentive. And we are supposed to learn that in the school. But it seems from my own experience as a teacher for many, many years in Krishnamurti schools, this ability to listen is not there. And because the mind is very, very restless, and when a person is listening, at the same time, the person is thinking and reacting if he doesn't like what the speaker is saying, then there will be many thoughts coming in the mind of the listener, and then the listener will not be able to listen, to move with the speaker. And that is what Krishnaji was talking about, is about the art of listening, and also how we look, whether we can look at anything or any human being without prejudice. Because when we see some people, then we react and say he's a Muslim, or he is a Sikh, or he is a Christian, like that. All these thoughts begin to arrive in our mind, and then we don't look at the essence of the person, or even the essence of a tree. When our mind is not in a proper state. So our responsibility is to have a very peaceful, quiet, attentive mind, which can listen to the essence behind the words, whether those words are coming from Rajneesh Osho, or from Krishnamurti, or from Raman Maharshi. Because Swamiji talked about a little bit about Raman Maharshi. He asked, "Who am I?" And that I, what Raman Maharshi was talking about, is not the I which Krishnamurti was talking about. For Krishnamurti, the I, the me, the self, which is created by thinking, which is not a true self. Whereas Raman Maharshi was talking about the I, the real thing to whom thinking is arising. And so in Krishnamurti, the true self would be equivalent to choiceless awareness. Because in that silent awareness, one can even see the thoughts coming, and from the thought coming this sense of I, the self, the false self. So different people are using different words, and we have not investigated for ourselves what the meaning behind the word, the essence. Then we can get lost. And then when Krishnaji says at one time one thing, like he says, be effortless, and the other time he will say, you have to make a lot of effort, then we can get lost because we don't know what he really means. So, ability to listen very well with a healthy mind without any prejudice, that is our responsibility. And for that, how do we come to such a state of listening, speaking also very clearly? Because many times people speak a lot, but we don't understand what they are trying to say because there is no clarity in the mind of the speaker. Then eh, such a speaker will create more confusion in the mind of the listener. So, whatever we do, whatever, how we look, how we listen, how we speak, like many people, when they are speaking in great excitement, like some students, they are even speaking some bad word, and they are not aware that a bad word had come from their mouth. And sometimes people get angry and then they say, no, no, I am not angry. So the ability to see ourselves as we are, that is, it requires clarity. And that is what the real freedom and love is. Once in Ohio in 1979, I was listening to Krishnamurti and he was speaking about freedom, love, responsibility, and all these topics. And suddenly a word came, a sentence came to my mind. It came by itself. And that sentence said, love and freedom, they are same because without freedom, love is not possible. Freedom means freedom from jealousy, anger, and all those negative state, attachment, dependence, psychological dependence, and all that. So without freedom, love is not possible. Love in the way which is not attachment. So love and freedom are same, and out of that, the real responsibility comes. So this sentence came to my mind that love and freedom, they are same, and out of that, the real responsibility, the ability to respond properly, it comes from that. And without that, it is not possible. We will react a lot and we will get angry. We will have many conflicts. Gautam Buddha, he did not teach. And even a king came to him and he wanted to be the disciple of Gautam Buddha. But Gautam Buddha said, still there is not time for me to be a teacher. I have to do something before I become a teacher. And then he did not allow the king to be the disciple. And Buddha went his own way. And then he meditated. And one day, when he was sitting under the peepal tree, and he opened his eyes early in the morning, and he saw a bright star, and he saw it as if for the first time in his life. It was so bright and beautiful, and something had happened in his body and his brain, which made him see things in a different way. And then he knew that maybe he can talk with people because he had got real clarity. And only then he began to talk with even children, little children, and the little children were listening to him because he did not talk about philosophy. He spoke what he had learned by his own observation of himself, of human beings, of nature. And so when a person has learned in a direct way by looking within, such a person will be able to speak with little children also about how to sit properly, how to look, how to listen. And that is what Krishnaji was doing in schools when he came to Rishi Valley. And he was sitting very properly and he was speaking very slowly and he was involving little children and asking them questions. And so that is what Krishnaji wanted to do, was to create a different kind of human being, a different kind of brain, which can see things very, very clearly, can understand the essence behind the words, and one is not prejudiced, and one can even question Krishnamurti and not accept him. And that is what Krishnaji was saying. Don't accept, you find out, and then you discuss. I remember once in a meeting of teachers, there were many teachers, and it was before the talk, Krishnaji started. One man at the back, one teacher, he was closing his eyes and meditating. And Krishnaji says, please don't meditate. You have come here to listen and to speak. So Krishnaji, of course, one can do meditate anytime, and one doesn't need to close one's eyes also. And that is what Krishnaji was saying, that meditation is not concentrating on some image and closing the eyes, but looking clearly at what are things outside and what is happening inside. And that clear looking is meditation. So meditation is a way of life in Krishnamurti's teachings. Okay, what I actually prepared was how do we become sensitive to ourselves and to other human beings. For that, at an early age, we must not develop bad habits like smoking or drinking, and we can cultivate good habits like yoga, pranayam, meditation, listening to very good music, walking in nature, and all this helps in making our mind very happy, healthy, and creative every day. And then we can do whatever we have to do. If we are a student, then we will listen to our teachers and with full attention. And then learning becomes effortless and very, very interesting. But if we are not listening, then we will get bored and we'll get tired. And then we will look at the watch and see when the time, the period will be over. And I have seen many students, they are not listening. And it is the responsibility of a teacher in a classroom to create an atmosphere where everybody is listening. And if somebody is not listening, a teacher can see it and point out gently. One cannot force oneself to listen or even to speak. It has to come naturally. And sometimes I used to tell students that if you are not feeling well in the classroom and you want to go out and walk in nature, you can go, no problem. And if you want to learn the subject, you can come anytime. So responsibility, a student has a responsibility, a teacher has a responsibility, a politician has a responsibility not to be corrupt and not to make money. And when there is a responsibility in human beings, then we can create heaven on earth. Then there will be no wars, no conflict. People will work together, feel very happy. Okay, I have said enough. Thank you very much.
Now, if somebody wants to ask a question, he can raise the hand and can ask. Ravi wanted to ask a question. Please unmute and say.
Good evening, everyone. It was a really good talk, and I'm really thankful to this talk. I'm going through the crisis of listening, watching, observing, attention, awareness. So I don't know how to get those art of these things. And Swamiji mentioned the Banaras example, and it immediately went into my head because I am especially is part of that thing when you see the things with the color, either with this extreme or that extreme. So, but I'm having confusion when somebody who is very corrupt or who is rapist or who is fooling the people get caught or get imprisoned. So that happiness comes from me, and I get confused whether I should be happy or not. And that way, we do not know. I think I am favoring good versus evil. So I am biased. I am divided, and I have to work upon that. Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you for the sharing. There is no question really there, but you have expressed your position so honestly and very well.
Dinesh Waghmare. Dinesh Waghmare, please unmute
Yeah,
and say.
what is actually, sir, I would like to say something on this. What is our responsibility toward life? Basically, just a moment. Basically, what I think, there are two things in our life. What is first question is what I am, who am I? And another question is what I should be, what I can do. So this what I can do is the first question which everybody should understand and he should go for it. What are the traits available in him? He should understand his personality. What are the traits available in him? What are the tendencies in him? What are the gunas, what we say in Hindi, gunas? What are the gunas? And he should explore the possibilities to experience the whole of his personality, means to grow and to develop his personality to the fullest extent. This is the first thing which one should understand. What is his role in life? Basically, he has to first, his attempt should be to explore the full personality inner potential and then to grow to the fullest extent. Then the next question is who am I? So that question comes later on. First he should address what I am, what I can do. That is the first question. And in this in my views, there are three things we do have. Means what inner potential he is having, what potential he is trying to explore and making efforts for its growth. Then what he should do, according to that he should do, and then he should have the things in the life. What people do normally, they think that they will do something, then they will have something, means they will get some good salary and this thing, and then afterwards they will become something. Means they follow do, have, and then they will become something. That's what they think. But actually it should be, do, and have. He should explore the full possibilities of inner development, and then he should grow his personality, and then he should see what next he has to do. Basically, what is the purpose of life? In my views, purpose of life, a man has come here to experience the things. So he should be experiencing the things. And in the process, in the flow of life, he should find out what are the real assignments he's having, or what are his real questions, or what is the real inquiry with him. So this question, who am I, comes the next. First is what he should be doing. And then the question comes, who am I? So for who am I, then there is the self-knowledge and self-knowing, and whatever the way you choose or select, that comes the next. Whether he, that really is a question for him, that also he has to see. Because for most of the people, 90% or 95% or more than that, most people are having the question of what they can do in the life. That is the first question for them. And this who am I, and what is my source, why I have come here, why I have taken the birth in this this world, or what is the cause, what is the cause of taking birth in this, or what is the why he is incarnated, or this thing. This question is for very few people. So that's why very few people will think that they go for any guru or any, even Krishnamurti. Very few people come to Krishnamurti. So first they have to see their responsibility is that they should be exploring their inner potential to the fullest extent, and then they should, if required, then they should also go for this the next inquiry, who am I? That's what I think. What Harshad sir has to say on this?
Yes, this word should, and he should do that, or people should do that, it becomes very theoretical. What I can do, why don't you speak about yourself? Huh? And what are you?
Well,
Have you asked?
actually subject was kept like that. Actually, I was I wanted to say the same thing what you are saying. One has to look to actually go for his individuality. What is his individuality? and what he can do. He has basically, in my views, he has to compete with himself. He has to compare, and he has to compare with himself only, or he has to go for his best. He should do the things which can grow his personality to the fullest extent. This applies to everybody. That's what I think.
But what do you do? Yourself, not he or
Yeah. If you ask personally to me, I
Yeah.
faced many problems in the life, and for that I have also done the same thing. I tried to see what
Yeah.
I can do, what is my inner potential. I find out that I found long back that I am good in mathematics, so I have gone for engineering. Then I did my degree in engineering. Then I gone for a corporate world. There also I have found that what best in which there are so many lines in engineering. So I found that which line is best for me. I changed many lines. I started from production, then gone for planning, marketing. Ultimately, I've gone in projects, and I retired from that line only. And I've done even I'm doing now consultancy also for the projects. But at the same time, I found out that although I have achieved so many good results and achievements in my life, and even earned money, but still there was something lacking. So in the process, even I have faced some physically health problem also. So then I studied why I'm facing this physical problem. So I have gone for the reading after I read books on homeopathy, and then acupressure, and then many things, and then ultimately I'll end up in this spirituality also. And I had gone, I read many books on spirituality and this thing. Even I did sadhana also, and a lot of this thing. Even I then read Krishnamurti also. So I think I have followed a right track, fortunately. And I got a guru also, and he has also given me the right guidance. And because of him only, I thought that I have reached to this place. Even he guided me to go to Krishnamurti also. Even so, in my views, if you ask me, fortunately, I could justify, and now I am on the right track, I think. Yeah, sir.
Anand Ramagoud, Anand sir. Anand sir, please put your question.
Yes, sir. Swamiji, I think these are just my observations. Like when we say life is a moment in relationship, life, I really don't understand. What life means. It's not my life or your life or our life. Life per se, and the entire existence, which includes, like you said, animal, plants, trees, everything, the air, the water, the pollution, etc., the earth. It includes all that. Now, again, when we say our responsibility, I'm questioning that. It's not my responsibility, your responsibility. The responsibility per se. That is what I would look at, what responsibility means. And when I say responsibility means ability to respond, that is one of the definitions given by Stephen Covey. The original meaning of the word responsibility means trustworthy. And Kay has said something else. In fact, responsibility and freedom go together. Without responsibility, there's no freedom. Even in a constitution, if you see rights and duties, if you don't do your duties, you do not have rights. They go together. So similarly, when I talk about responsibility or freedom or love or compassion or death, they all mean the same. They're not separate. The moment I separate, then I'm caught in it. Then again, when we talk about these groups, whether it is KFI institutions or any groups, any part of the world. I have been associated with some of the groups, and each group has got one or two people who say they understand what Krishnamurti is saying, and some of them even say they know more than Krishnamurti. They feel that they could have told a few things to Krishnamurti. I have come across these people. There's also a person. He tells all his friends that he is enlightened. Only thing he says his wife doesn't believe, because she says you wave your hand and you give your tulip gold, and else you're enlightened. So these are the kinds of people there are. There's every place I have. It's in a very limited way. I have seen people say they understand Krishnamurti, they know Krishnamurti. Some of them say I know better than Krishnamurti. So it's nothing surprising in some of the places where they say we know better than the others. It's a common thing. They're back to the conditioning. That is what it is. And again, when we say do good, most of the Nobel Prize winners and other people who have been awarded, definitely there have been some kind of whatever the good they have done, they have done for their own sake, not for the like what Krishnamurti is talking about. So I mean, the awards which were given also, it's given to the people whom they have liked. For example, David Bohm was neglected because most of these things are decided in US. So in fact, he was eligible for these awards, but then they said they're not going to give to him. So that's how it is. So there are some people who have done good. It's because either to achieve that, or they have done for their own religion, for their own satisfaction. That is what it is. So when we say somebody has done good, I'm looking at what that good means. That's about it, sir. That's about it.
Shakti, please unmute.
Not hearing.
Audible. You are not audible.
Shakti, please unmute.
Yeah. Now is it reaching, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was the bandwidth is low. So I just wish to share this because this word responsibility, because at one place Krishnamurti has said that it is to respond adequately. And when we don't respond adequately, then we are not being responsible. So that was one point. Another point is that Krishnamurti's discourse makes this responsibility much larger. Because, for example, he says that if you are working on your fear, you are working on the fear of humanity. It also implies that if I am not being attentive in life, I am adding something negative to the whole world. So it is not a question of when he says you are the world, somewhere he's inviting us to be attentive, to be aware, and if there is unawareness in our lives, to see that and observe life as it is. As he once said, that can you be committed to be attentive in relationship? So his area of responsibility becomes very large. Thank you, sir.
My question to Shakti ji, can I ask a question to Shakti ji? When you say responsibility, as JK said, to response to what? What are the challenges? To which challenges? Which stimuluses, in your views?
Yeah, you see, I can just share with you what I received from that, because the challenge is this, that if it is true that I am the world, and any anger which happens here affects a very large area of human life, then the consequences are not limited to the individual. That is what I say when I talk about responsibility, because what is responding inadequately? You are saying something to me, and if I am not listening to it, I'm thinking about something else, then I am responding inadequately. So to see that whether I am responding inadequately, so Dineshji, this is, we cannot bring in some sort of definition about it. But one thing is that I feel that those of us who have read Krishnamurti, the responsibility becomes manifold. It is not connected with only individual life, but on a larger scale. Thank you, sir.
Can I say something?
Thank you. Yeah.
So, I mean, that
Yes,
is just a, yeah, it's just a word, sir. When he says adequately, can I listen to that is the question. We need to go beyond that. And now, when he says adequately, how I understand is, I within the course, as long when there is an observer, then there's no understanding of it. Can I look at that is the question, sir. When there is no observer, then there is the understanding of that. Understanding again within quotes, I'm saying. And I had missed one point, like Swamiji had mentioned about Al Gore. I think it's been about 7 to 8 years back. He has stopped all meat also. I mean, he's completely stopped. And before him, his president, the Bill Clinton, who was the president, I mean, he was a vegan, in fact. So, I mean, this is the information I had. I'm sharing with you also. That's about it. Yeah.
Can I say something here?
You
when
can
I
go on, sir. Whatever you wanted to say, go on and say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so
Will
nice, sir.
sing.
Thank you. Thank you so nice, sir. See, Krishnamurti says, I am the world. You are the world. I do not know whether I am the world. When I observe or when I see the fact, psychologically I am world also, technically I am not. Maybe psychologically I am. But actually, if you see in the world, I am not the tree. So I am not the world. So how I should give the response to this? Yes, sir.
Can I say something about this, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So, I mean, recently, it has been scientifically proved. If they examine my brain or your brain or Bill Clinton's brain, they said this brain is about 2 billion-year-old brain. No, whose brain is this? No, who is Anand? Who is Dinesh? It is what, I mean, I know only for, I'm there for the last 60 years, I said this is what it is. But research, if they do it on a brain, they say it is about 2 billion-year-old brain. Now, whose brain is that? Now, who is Anand? Or who is Mr. Dinesh? I'm looking at it. I'm not. So when he says, you are the world, can I remain with that? I mean, when I look at the tree, I'm not the tree. Definitely, I mean, it is something, I mean, I would say silly. I mean, I'm not the tree. Definitely, I'm not the tree. But what K is talking about, when the observer is not there, then there's an observation. So it happens many a times, when we are in a shock, a state of shock, when thought is silent. Like you yourself, I think the other day you mentioned when you're crossing the road, suddenly you stop and then a vehicle passes by. You see what happened there. So that intelligent act, we can't go into that. What it is, the moment I go into that, I'm back to my conditioning. If I want to know or define it or say what it should be or what it should not be, I'm back to my conditioning. So we have to go much beyond these words also. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Okay. May I say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, our main problem for all human beings is the fundamental problem is this sense of I or me. I am separate from the world, and that sense comes because our mind is not silent, and there is a thinking, and from thinking comes that this sense of I, me is more important. And then you and all that division comes between you and the world. It comes. But when the mind is silent, there is no observer, there is no me, one can look at whatever is happening clearly. One can even look at the night sky full of stars. And it's just wonderful to look, whether it is a flower or a human being. But I'm not saying that we should not do if something is not right, like when I go for a walk, I see a lot of garbage on the place. I inform, I do something, I have done some work, contacted municipality, contacted politicians, written to the railways department, written to the prime minister's office, because I am observing whatever is happening, in the cleanliness problem in public places. I feel I am responsible, though what most people feel that they are responsible for their own house and their street. But I feel that I am responsible for the whole city. So wherever I go, I see something which is not right. I do something about it. At the same time, I don't feel that I am doing something great, that I doing it with a sense of ego. I am doing it because it needs to be done. And whether it will be done or not, I don't know. But yes, something has been done, wonderful things has been done in this city. And I feel happy, many people involved in that, not I am only. So I think our greatest responsibility is to do whatever we do without this sense of ego that I am doing it. And that is what Bhagavad Gita also says, that all you have to do is, your responsibility is to do whatever is necessary without thinking about the result. You know, the ma phaleshu kadachana, don't think about the result of what you do, but do the right thing. That means also Shakti ji said that if I am not listening to what you are saying, then I am not uh, adequate in my responsibility. So when Shakti ji or Swami ji or Anand ji or Dinesh ji speaks, I have to listen fully what they are saying without trying to cut them off and say what I feel. No, I can wait, I can listen, I can note down something which some questions arise from what other people are saying. So this is a part of responsibility, is how to listen, how to look, and how to learn whatever, whether it is a history or geography or politics or about our own self, what is happening, why we get angry, why we feel tired, what is behind anger. All this is learning. And that learning about ourselves is our primary responsibility. And then whatever we do, it will be good, I feel. Otherwise, we will create more problems in the world. And I see that very highly educated people, when they are walking on the street, they are spitting on the street, or they are going on in their vehicle and they are using their mobile and talking with somebody, which is not their responsibility. So in small things, we can know whether we are responding properly or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this note, we should
Yeah.
end it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we are ending it. right now. Thank you.
Okay.
Modak, please,
Thank you.
please end it now.
Okay. Thanks all.